I mean, it was my home for several years.
You're part of the family. It's like you kind of get adopted in.
Even though I wasn't technically, part of the biological family, there was still like a work family that you had.
It wasn't just, a family-owned business. It really felt like the people that owned the company brought us all into their family.
It felt like home. Anytime I went into work, I felt like family. I never felt like an employee on a clock. It was just a bunch of friends getting together every day to make, the business successful.
Just fun, good energy. Everyone just was always positive, and yeah, I loved it.
I think a lot of it was just the environment that, you learn from each other, but you're also spending a whole lot of time with each other. So you are becoming family when you're working for a small family business like that.
I feel like when I think of Fiddleheads, I always think of the friendships that I formed there. That was one of one of the best parts of my life.
Just after hours, like cleaning up, we'd do a lot of dancing and singing, like mopping up the floors and playing the music.
I was working with all of my friends and I loved it. So it didn't feel like it was a lot of work. It was fun. It was fun and it was exciting. And
the women that stood next to me on my wedding day, I met them at Fiddleheads, all of them, every single one of them.
It was just a great place to go to, and to have as a part of my life, and I will always appreciate that.
One of my favorite things was just being on the river. I think that was the neatest thing, to be able to open up and often see the sunrise. I mean, granted, there was a little bit of woods and stuff, so you never got to see the full sunrise, but you got to see all the color changes in the sky. Like, there were so many mornings that I would get there and you'd see this gorgeous, like pink, orange, purpley kind of a sunrise coming up. That was one of my favorite things, and just the calm, peaceful environment of the river. And then, throwing in the smells of the coffee and the grinding. And it was just so peaceful and relaxing to walk into that. And I'm not a morning person, at least maybe I've become not a morning person, but that was always like a reason to get up in the morning and go to work and enjoy the mornings.
I can picture like going in, I can hear the floors squeaking, I can see the like step to the dining area and then the other little dining area and the kitchen. I mean, it's, thinking back on it, it's like how ingrained that is in my memory. I can picture the stairs and the office upstairs, the building, the river, the picnic tables, the parking lot. I can see it all. I remember the smells, the aroma of the coffee and like the squeaking of the floors, or the settling the old building. It has a very special place in my heart.
I don't know, it just was like a whole world that opened up in Fiddleheads, that I didn't even know existed before. So kind of like opened my pie of life and my spectrum of possibilities of what exists in the world. And
it was just a neat job in general. I liked the challenge of it. It was kind of like a little artsy, but yet you had like kind of a guideline to follow too. So
I mean, at the time it was Lynn and Steve there.
Lynn just paid such attention to all of the aesthetics of the place.
Lynn, especially her nurturing ability, she was very, very warm.
Watching Lynn like grow as a business owner, and that was, I think, just powerful for me to watch this young woman like manifest this idea and then have her family show up and kind of become integrated and take their own kind of roles in the work that they are doing. And I think about Steve, and then one day Steve was on the scene and all of a sudden he's back in the kitchen making soup, and or like he's playing, like his band is there playing, and so watching like the coffee shop also become this place where we've got live music.
And she had this just awesome sense of love for the world.
They were so passionate and so invested in the business that you couldn't help but be right there with them.
You know, specifically with Steve, his musical talent and his guitars, I just feel like he knew so much about music and was such a talented musician himself. So that always stuck out to me.
The music, I always remember the music. I feel like that's where I kind of learned to love bluegrass music too, and I thank Steve for that. He's so silly, and
she just had this vibrancy to her.
Knowing the way she branded, and Steve and Mike and all of them, how they branded the company and how important it was for quality and how important it was for you to feel happy and comfortable at work. All of those things made it what it is today.
I don't know. It's kind of a model of, I think, how a business should be run in many, many ways.
It feels like Fiddleheads was an important part of like facilitating this work that I've for a long time felt called to do. And it felt like a really great honor to work there.
You know, I really took a lot of pride in that and wanting to do it the way they wanted it, you know, the right way.
You know, we probably saw a side of the customers or the patrons that came in that maybe like they're, you know, the people closest to them maybe didn't know that they have.
And I was just so fascinated by people and by people's stories and how they kind of show up and tell you who they are in conversation. And so when you asked me like what it was like to work there, a lot of it was this opportunity to talk to people and to develop relationships and to hear their stories.
Getting to know the customers and getting to know like kind of their idiosyncrasies.
But it really set me on a path to do well, to want to do well. It's like,
and it was really beautiful because people, like I started to develop relationship with customers, and I know, of course, as many baristas do, started to get to know the regulars and get to know their drinks, but also got to know about them as people and like members of our community. I feel like just entering into that world was really unique.
Being able to connect with people on a true, genuine level, not just saying hello and asking how their day is because that's part of the job, but actually forming that relationship and being genuine and wanting to get to know people. I think that's really been key in customer service and carried over into, I mean, really every aspect of life and especially into my current job.
Everybody was always just so pleasant, and I think it was just a pleasant place to be.
Like, it is always positive things when I think of Fiddleheads, and just like an overall feeling of warmth when I think of it. And sometimes I wish that I had a clock that I could just rewind and like spend another day there and go back to seeing my friends and customers and everything. It was really a great time.
So you kind of get to see, you know, what goes into running a business like that, what goes into running a cafe, and certainly that it's a labor of love. And that's what I think about every time I go into a small coffee shop like that, where it's like whoever started this place it's a labor of love.